A few words.
Yep, thank you everyone for coming. I'm on stage now.
A few words to kick us off.
Yes, it's not a film to sort of say I hope you enjoy it. It is. I hope you will experience it, and maybe I should just not say anything so you can carry into doing that straight away. But we'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, we'll be joined for a Q&A after, so keep your seats. Dylan, Benedict and Max will be joining us for a chat. So enjoy.
Thank you for coming. Sorry, I should say that. Thank you very much for being here.
See you in a bit. Thank you. You just lost your glasses, but it looks like found them.
Those are my sunglasses.
You can't have
A
it.
bit pretentious, but watching myself in sunglasses is weird.
So just to quickly kick off, we were talking just outside about the music docs you've made that I'm a big fan of. This is a big, ambitious jump, I think. You've got a well-loved novel, you've got a play that was loved. You said about getting Max, speaking to Max. How important was it to get Max on board? And did you have to kind of present what your vision was going to be?
I mean, I got in touch with Max within a week of reading the book.
Right.
The book came out in 2015, and my friend sent it to me the week it came out, and I read it. And so this is 10 years ago. I read it. I was completely blown away by it. In my heart of hearts, I thought it was unfilmable, but somehow I ended up.
I was going to use that description.
Somehow I ended up, arranging to meet with Max and sitting opposite him in a cafe and just telling him how much I adored his book, how much it meant to me, how much it had kind of unlocked some things in me that I didn't know needed to be unlocked.
Yeah.
And
Max is crying.
out of that, and come back and show me what you want to do. And that was the start of like 10 years of, friendship, consultation, mentorship, and just kind of shaping this film into the thing that we ended up making.
And Max, what was it about, was it passion? What was it about Dylan's kind of, what was it that appealed that you knew you were in good hands? I imagine you'd seen the music documentaries before as well.
Yeah, I watched them.
Yeah.
And it's a very new, it's like a mixtape that you make your girlfriend, extreme nerdery for cinema and for music and for actors, deep, calibrated, sentimental feeling, but also like rigorous desire to get technical things right.
Yeah.
Focus on the boys. We're both raising, not so young anymore because it was 10 years ago, but we're raising young kids in that sort of sense of like, how would we make the movie that the boys would love? He said things like, I think I could do the demon scene. And I was like, you can't do the demon scene. It's the boys' violent fantasy based on the comics and films they're watching when they should be in bed. And he's like, I can't fucking do it. So yeah, kind of wonderful, gung-ho, open-hearted. This is, room for sobbing people. I don't need to hide that this is a very open-hearted. This is an unapologetically emotionally open thing. So yeah, Dylan's unflinching in
But it has humour as well. I mean, we were laughing outside about the joke about the Guardian. Any opportunity to criticise the Guardian, I'm not going to come up there. But I mean, there is. I mean, I said it was a multifaceted portrait of grief because it is dark, it is challenging, it is cathartic, but it is also funny. But anyway, I also want to ask Benedict.
If you take the funniness out, you blow it.
Yeah.
And the point of the book is, like the most poignant moment in the book, perhaps, is that the dad says, I miss her actually so much that I wish I could build her some kind of monument in Hyde Park, gold statue, and that's the point which you have in the beginning. That's when Crow goes, "Ugh, you sound like a fridge magnet." You've got to puncture it all the time, and you got that.
It's great. And Benedict, I imagine, I might be wrong, were you a fan of the novel, and what was the appeal for you?
Very much so, and I had a similar experience to Dylan when I read it. It read very visually. It was incredibly kaleidoscopic in its reimagining of novel form and timelines, and just the amount of imagery taking place to sort of characterize and personify the relationships and grief, this thing in the middle of all of them. And I was fascinated with the boys becoming, at some points, a very much hinted at, unreliable narrator looking back as older men at what their younger selves were experiencing in that household, with the dad becoming unraveled without their mum.
Yeah.
And it's, just pin me to the wall in an afternoon. It's the most extraordinary, punching, profound piece of small paper with great weight. So I was a huge fan of the novel.
How many of you have read the novel, by the way? Okay, most of you, that's good. Published by Faber, just to say. I also wanted to ask, because your filmography, Benedict, is so varied. One of the things, Max mentioned how you're going to do this, you were thinking, how am I going to do this? One of the things I love is the fact that you have an actual crow. And I think the voice of David Hewlis, I mean, he's not here, but I think it's a brilliant performance of David Hewlis. He gets the humour, What was it like working with David? And what was it like for you as an actor that rather than having loads of CGI, you had that kind of physicality of those scenes?
I don't know, because David wasn't there, so I had to imagine that. I mean, he's got such an amazing and iconic voice that it wasn't difficult to go there. We had a phenomenal physical, an actor, performer, but an amazing physical performer who trained at Lecoq and had done a vast array of things, from stand-up to double act stuff to straight acting, in that costume on stilts with an animatronic head to deal with a wonderful man called Eric Ambrose, and he was the full flesh version for me to act opposite, and did a pretty good David Hewlis impression at times. So he was in the room in many ways, but
and does it make a big difference to you as an actor if you do have that kind of physicality in them? Because those scenes are very visceral. The fight scene, I'm not spoiling because you've all just seen it, but the fight scene towards the end, you really feel it, budding,
very much so. The actor who's playing the demon as well, to be dragged around and feel that viscerally, that sort of physical cartoon exploration of deep emotional psychological pains. It's an amazing thing to sort of experience, and it was a stunt day, and this flat that we were gradually ruining by its deteriorating lack of housekeeping first of all, and then this man being smashed through the ceilings and back again, and the water, the wind and the rain and all the rest of it. It was sort of an extraordinary thing to do. It felt very cathartic to kind of trash that space with the power of all these emotions made manifest in that imagery. And what was the question?
Better question.
We'll be answering the next one as well.
Well, cathartic is what I like, because we showed a film earlier called Tears for Distance, which is about epilepsy. And it was amazing how many epilepsy sufferers we had in the audience that found it cathartic. And the thing with something that deals with grief, there can be a catharsis to it. Are you hoping that people that have gone through some of the grief which is portrayed in this film might have a similar cathartic experience from watching it?
I've already had messages from people that watched it at other festivals where they've watched it and they were like, I recognise my experience in that. And I think it's a film where if you have experienced something like that, there is the opportunity for catharsis. If you haven't, and if you're lucky enough not to have had, hopefully it's illuminating. Hopefully it kind of says something about it. But I've had some messages that really moved me from people that were, dad's experience there. And grief is different for everybody, so it's never going to hit everybody the same. But that's the main hope. The film was made, like Max's book, with love and kindness, and it's just the hope that it kind of makes some people feel seen.
No, it's very, very true. And finally, from me, and I want to throw it out to the audience, because this is a festival which is for audiences, not for people like me to ask questions, so we'll come to you very quickly. I know you're a big music fan, and you were saying about some of the music in the film. I mean, the film, it's the performances, it's the subject, but I think the soundtrack is so brilliantly put together. Can you say something about some of the choices?
Yeah, I mean, they're all things that I like to listen to. I made Benedict's playlist early on in the process. We would meet once a week, for weeks before we made the film, and I would give him music, because Dad has this very creatively solitary life of drawing his pictures, and I was like, this is the music Dad would listen to. I always knew I wanted the Bonnie Prince Billy song in there, but I had to actually write a letter to Will Oldham saying, your song's going to be, insulted. The Guardian reading and beard stroking, I had to say, I love this song. It's been very kind of
You're reading darling.
very meaningful to me in my life, and please don't take a slide from this. And he very kindly wrote back saying, yeah, you can use the song. But there's Vic Chestnut in there, who's an artist that I adore, who, you know, I think I was reading the book Don't Suck and Don't Die, which is a beautiful biography. No, he's not. The Fairport Convention's in there at the end because it's one of my dad's favourite songs, and I was reluctant at first because it's quite on the nose. It has that line, you know, it's time for all the birds to leave. But then I think when you're in a period of bereavement, songs take on meaning, and you go to songs that are helping you deal with exactly how you're feeling. So a lot of the songs are very specific and unsubtle, and that's kind of quite deliberate. I just wanted songs that really got to the heart of the matter.
Yeah, you made good choices. Okay, we're going to take some questions from the audience. There's a mic coming round. What I will say is the more concise the question, the more questions we can get in, because we do have another film to come in. So bear that in mind. Somebody asked a question today that's about 15 minutes long. Okay, there's somebody right at the end of the row there, and we're off. Thank you.
Yes, precisely. I was wondering, for each of the three of you, the writer, the actor, the director, to what extent has your own personal grief fed into the output, which we've just seen, poignant, moving, etc.? Thank you.
Very good question, very concise.
Should we go chronologically?
Yep.
In high order.
In idea order. The book is loosely based on the experience of losing a parent as a child, but I changed a lot. The brothers are based on myself and my mother. And aren't they just incredible, the brothers? I would only add that one of the things I think the movie does very beautifully is in creating this kind of model so beautifully in the flat, this sort of almost hyper simplified drama, elemental drama of dad, boys, crow, being flung around the space as if they were cardboard figures in them. It creates, I think, a sort of universal feeling in this moment when we are all reconciling ourselves to death on an industrial scale and nearby and far away, and grieving in all the ways it's possible to grieve. There is something about building that model which allows us to map onto it, whatever we wish to map onto it, for which I'm profoundly grateful to these guys for.
Yeah, no, in brief, no. Not for me, because it wouldn't be honest to the character. It touches, you start to veer into a territory that's familiar to your lived experience. And this is a character that's close to me in many more ways than a lot of others I've played, but no, it's got to be a grief grounded in the circumstance of the story. So it's about creating a biographical understanding what you don't see on screen, which is this relationship, this pattern of behaviour, this love story, the dynamic of an everyday scenario, how to juggle work, the boys, the marriage. You know, it was creating that story, and then creating enough of that for it to be absent to grieve that. And listening to the boys when they describe what they miss about their mother was very helpful for me to feel their pain exquisitely, beautifully, honestly, unperformatively delivered as it is in the film, in the final film. So, no, not my own, but the imagined.
And I mean, one of the reasons that I was so kind of viscerally moved by Max's book in the first place was that as an 18-year-old, I lost a best friend. A year later, another friend died, and I kind of carried that grief with me throughout my life the way any repressed Northern Englishman does. I just pushed it down. And when I read Max's book, it completely opened something up for me. He leaves so much space in the book for you to project your own experiences into that, you know, it opens something up. And then during the process of actually writing the book, another very close childhood friend died as well. So this thing is kind of, you know, infused with a lot of personal experiences, and you know, and it helped me. Making it helped deal with that, and that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to make it, and one of the reasons that making it has been such a great thing in my life.
Okay, I'm determined to get at least 2 more questions in. There's somebody whose hand was very quick in the middle there, and then I think we could probably pass the microphone forwards when you're finished to the people that were in front of you.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. That was a wonderful film. I'd love to know how you settled on the design of Crow.
Yeah, I mean, designing Crow is, this is where I'm going to just waffle on because this is really exciting. No, it's really exciting to me. One of the things about being a director is you get to curate. And when I was first telling people I was adapting this book, they were like, well, how are you going to do Crow? Because everyone's idea of Crow is different. And I was obsessed with the work of a sculptor called Nicola Hicks, who is a fine artist who creates these beautiful half man, half beast sculptures. And I always thought to myself, if anyone designs Crow, it has to be Nicola. And I spent maybe 2.5 years trying to get in a room with her because she was always off, creating more work or exhibiting it. And when I finally did, she was like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And she actually had a connection with Max, which I didn't know about. He'd written a piece for one of her catalogues. So she went away and she designed Crow, but Crow is a character who's created by so many different creatives. There was the original maquette that Nicola made, which then had to be turned into a wearable suit, which was done by Creatures Inc. Conor O'Sullivan, who's worked on Alien and worked with Nolan on Batman. And he came and looked at Nicola's sculpture and changed it into the wearable suit with stilts and an animatronic head that then had to be worn by a fantastic actor who Benedict mentioned called Eric Lampart, who's a physical actor, trained at Lecoq, and came in and brought Crow alive through his movements. And then right back to 10 years ago when I first read the book, every time I read Crow, I just heard David Thewlis in Mike Leigh's Naked. Was a board. And I was like, that has to be the voice of Crow. It was either him or Mark E. Smith from The Fall. Sadly, Mark left us. So Crow's this character who's created by all of these amazing talents that kind of amalgamate to create this singular character. And then, of course, Dad, in the process of the film, was making this graphic novel. So we also had Lucy Sullivan, who's an incredible graphic novelist, who came and drew Crow. And for me, it was important that Crow wasn't CGI, or I grew up watching creature features in the 80s and 90s.
Alligator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't care if you can see the seams. I think Crow has to be the Crow that would appear to this family and would be manifest from their cultural knowledge or experiences, and he has to be a little bit silly because he has to play with the boys. So I was just so excited about creating Crow. It was, as a film nerd, it was the most fun part of the process.
Terrific. Okay, we do have time for one final question, and that there's, yes, white t-shirt, glasses. Mic is on its way. It's tense, isn't it, waiting to see.
Thank you. So I want to thank everyone for such a beautiful story, and I think it's brilliant to accept the grief of losing a loved one into a kind of spooky and haunted figure like a crow. And I'm a little bit curious about the scale of the screen, like it's a 4:3 screen, the kind of family video-like picture. So I want to know if there's any specific reason behind it. Thank you.
Is that an aspect ratio question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Dylan, do you want to take this one?
I chose that aspect ratio because I wanted the flat to feel claustrophobic. I wanted the family to feel closed in. I also like it photographically. I like, the way that it holds close-ups, the way that it holds space. I wasn't quite brave enough when we went to the beach scene to open it out, but that was the intention of that beach scene, was to open out this claustrophobic world that they've been living in. So yeah, it was a storytelling choice, not just I want to do a 4:3 film. It was to close everybody in.
Yeah, we are going to have to draw to close. Before we do, you've been very lucky. You've been at the UK premiere of the film. We do have another screening on tomorrow, I believe. I think it's sold out. But the film will be released via View Lumiere on November the 21st across the UK. So tell all your friends to see it. Let's have a round of applause for the projectionist.